What's up, everyone? iVenom here with the Outer Days podcast, episode 3. Finally, it's been a few days since I said I was going to have this uploaded, or have this recorded anyway. And here I am. I had a lot of things to take care of in the real world with my business and all. But I already knew what I wanted to discuss today, what I wanted to talk about. More so on the film side, and it won't be as long as before. I know some people complain to me, or not really complain, but let me know sometimes it may be a little too long, but hey, shit just happens, man. Shit just happens. But this one actually will be shorter. So what I want to actually talk about today is Halloween Kills. I don't know if any of you guys seen it yet, or if you guys are any fans of the Halloween movies, but massive big Halloween fan, massive horror fan. Michael Myers is the GOAT slasher wise. Doesn't matter who it is him. All the slashers pretty much come from him, especially his contemporaries too. Then again, horror movies nowadays barely have any slashers in them. I mean, the new Hellraiser, I think, is about to come out, or is already out. I can't remember. Chucky's still alive and well. He's never actually gotten a reboot, so he's actually the most consistent slasher in modern times. Michael got depending on how you look at it, he technically had like 3 to 4 reboots. So he had the reboot after the third movie because he was technically dead in the original second one. But the third one wasn't to everyone's liking. And there goes 4, 5, and 6. Then H2O came out, which was in a way a reboot in its own way. I don't think it actually acknowledged 4, 5, and 6. So that's a second reboot right there. And then the Rob Zombie movie came out. That's a third reboot. And then the 2018 movie came out, pretty much being the only sequel to the original, so that's the 4th reboot. A lot of reboots, especially with other franchises. And of course we have Scream. Scream's actually never had a reboot in its life. It did have a TV show, but it is within the same universe. So Scream and Child's Play are the only franchises that have, well, the big time horror franchises in the public consciousness that have never really had reboots. I'm actually really looking forward to Scream 5 this January, but I digress. Halloween Kills. I want to talk about this movie a lot. Want to also talk about the things that led to its inception, as well as some of the reception that it's getting. So let's talk about the movie first. That's what I want to talk about first. The movie itself is a very well-paced, very well-shot, spooky, suspenseful film. The 2018 version actually does not get enough props for how well it actually looks, how well it actually is shot, and how good it looks. It's actually one of the a very well-made film, just on pure technical aspects alone. I probably would say that the only other one that's just as good in that manner is probably the first one. The first one is pretty much perfect in every way. It's amazing. Can't say enough about it. My favorite horror movie also. Though I do think Halloween Kills is probably the best film in the series. And I know some people might not agree with me there, but it does so much for its own franchise and for horror movies, I think, in general, that people are not realizing or are discussing enough. Or maybe I'm just not really tuning into what people are saying. Most of what I've been tuning into has been in the comment sections of posts about the movie and such. So this movie, again, very well shot, very well paced. The beginning was just so masterful. It was a really great parallel to not only the first movie and its intro scene, but it was Sorry, tongue tied there. It was also a very nice callback to the original second one. So if you guys have watched the second one or haven't, the the second movie actually begins the way the original one began, in first person, just like when Michael was a child. And it happens immediately after the ending of the first one, and he's going through houses. If I remember correctly, he does get a couple kills. And it's exactly the same night, just as Halloween Kills is the same night as Halloween 2018. So they're both technically sequels to the first in their respective series. Not entirely, though. However, Halloween 2018 was, in a way, a reboot, even though it was a sequel to the original. And Halloween Kills comes after that, quote unquote, reboot. So they do share similarities in the fact that what happens in the beginning, in the intro. Both have the aftermath of what happens to Michael after he gets shot down from Tommy Doyle's house and what they do to him. They even have Laurie going to a hospital after her encounter with Michael. We also see, of course, Dr. Loomis being involved in a particular fashion. However, of course, the intro of Halloween Kills doesn't deal with the intro of the flashback in Halloween Kills doesn't exactly deal with the hospital scenes that happen in the original second one. But in Halloween Kills, the hospital scenes are in the present time. I do think it was just very well done how you see the Shape always doing things that just don't make sense to the characters in the movie. Which is a point of contention of why one of the things that like people always question, like, how is he so fast? How is Michael so fast? And how is this? How is that? But we'll get to that. And this movie pretty much answers it in a way that I don't think people were expecting, though we've had similar things happen in the franchise. Anyway, it was really great seeing what was the police officer's name when he was young? Let me see. Let me pull it up right here. I'm sorry. Then I'm actually doing this on the podcast, but hey, shit happens. Happens all the time on Joe's. Happens with many other podcasters. Oh, look, I actually looked it up. I actually just looked up Halloween Kills, and somebody says Halloween Kills isn't just the beloved horror franchise's second sequel, 12th sequel. It's also the best. I agree with that 100 fucking percent. Sequel-wise, it is easily the best sequel this franchise has ever gotten. But let's see. We have, what is his name? Will Patton playing Deputy Frank Hawkins. So it was really nice to see Hawkins as a young guy with his partner in the flashback, and his partner standing where Michael was when he was a child. And it seemed like he actually got a feel for whatever Michael actually used to feel when he was a child. What he must have been feeling, what he must have been thinking every time he was staring outside of his sister's window. It's like there was just something there he just knew. And it's funny because he also saw the footprints there. So he knew exactly where he was standing. He could have actually known that he was around, but maybe he got caught in a trance. I don't know. Because the footprint was right there and he didn't do anything about it. So it seems like he just got caught in the moment, maybe. And unfortunately, he gets killed. And then, of course, at the very end of the segment, he gets caught at the very end, very similarly to the beginning of the original movie. And throughout the entire movie, Michael is just wreaking havoc in Haddonfield. Just killing everyone in ways that are just very brutal. One of the kills towards the beginning of the movie in present day, after he gets away from the fire in the house. Oh, which by the way, oh my lord, he massacred all those fucking police officers. He was tanking. I mean, police officers. I'm sorry, the firefighters. He was tanking everything, dude. He was tanking everything. I could not believe what I was watching. It was just so in your face. Like, it's really not taking him down. And I don't think it's ever been like that before. Like that in your face, like the type of damage that this man is taking. Or as Luma said, this isn't a man. Anyway, he continues to massacre all of these firefighters, which, and also the reaction to these fucking firefighters dying was so stupid. All of those people signing that petition and whoever made that petition, shut the fuck up. You stop being a bunch of fucking bitches. You guys are probably also the guys that call people snowflakes every goddamn week. Excuse me, Lord, but still, like, shut the fuck up. Michael Myers can kill all these people, but he can't kill a bunch of fucking firefighters. Get out of my face, bro. Anyway, after that, he actually goes to an old couple's house. Old lady's playing with some remote control helicopter, and lo and behold, this man shows up, kills them both in a very gruesome manner. Like, it was actually kind of terrifying to see it and their reaction to Michael just slaughtering the both of them. And in the midst of it, he keeps stabbing the husband over and over, but not with the same knife. He keeps doing it with just multiple ones. It's like he wasn't getting it right. And that's like it's kind of funny in a very dark way, like, oh bro, like, nah, this ain't the one, chief. I need another knife. And he just keeps on doing it until he feels like it's just right. Like, me and my friend were joking about it in the middle of the scene, like, yo, and afterwards, after we left the movie, like, yo, it's just not right. This knife ain't it. So those are that's actually one of the things that is part Michael's character that I don't see people talking. Again, I don't go onto forums much. I don't really read reviews much of these films, of these Halloween films. I just go with my own opinion and, a few friends here and there. All my friends pretty much, some of my friends that I talk to about horror and movies and shit really love Michael and the movies. Generally speaking, they like every movie. My girlfriend is actually kind of queasy in this whole movie. She was actually pretty scared because it's pretty brutal, pretty brutal. But even in the original film, there's a certain aspect about Michael where he has this, he wants to be like this perfectionist, and it's very subtle. Like, in the first movie, he kills one of the teenagers. What was his name? Paul, I think it was, his name was Paul. I forget, man. I'm such a fan, and I forget this dude's name, man. Let's see. What the hell was his name? Oh my God. What was his name? Was it Bob? It wasn't Bob, was it? No. Lonnie? I think it was Lonnie. I can't remember. I'm getting the names mixed up, but I digress. He kills one of the teenagers, and he pretty much, stabs him to the wall. But when he does it, he's just looking at him like he's looking at him in a way as if he's being peculiar about it. Like, he's really trying to see like what's going on here. Like, in a way, it can also be, I guess it can be interpreted as, I mean, is this right? How's this look? Like, he's just turning his head over and over just to see how this kill went. I think that was actually the only time. No, that wasn't the only time. It also happened when he killed the chick at the very top, when he had, he dressed like a ghost. He had the glasses, and when Lori comes over, she's dead on the bed, and there's a lit pumpkin, a jack-o'-lantern on the side of the bed, and his Judith Myers, his sister's tombstone, is at the very, at the top of the bed. Like, who does that? Like he did that. Like, he did that as if it's some kind of art piece. And that's kind of like it's very scary, actually, because underneath the whole embodiment of evil type of thing, he does have a personality to him when it comes to like his psychopathy. Like, it's like he enjoys, or maybe not even enjoys, he just does it. But he needs to do it in a certain way. Like, he's very peculiar about his work, so to speak. So that's pretty much, I think, what was happening when he kept stabbing that old man. But anyway, the movie of course progresses. He's killing everybody, and it was really nice to see the character of what was his face? Tommy again? It was Tommy, right? Oh my god, what is wrong with me? I'm forgetting every single person's name. Yeah, Tommy. And of course his friend in the flashback at the beginning of the movie, what was his name? And Halloween Kills. What was that guy's name? Uh Geez, I forget the guy's name. It wasn't Lonnie, was it? No. Because we have Anthony Michael Hall played Tommy, and Paul Rudd was originally gonna play him because he also played him in the original in Halloween Kills as a grown-up Tommy. And apparently Paul Rudd was gonna be in the movie, but he was too busy with Ghostbusters. Um so let me see. Um wow. I'm not seeing this guy's name whatsoever. I'm just seeing Will Patton, Anthony Michael Hall. Uh, I don't see him. Anyway, it was also really nice seeing that there was another survivor that was around Tommy's age, experienced Michael at the back in the original night. So that did happen in the flashback as well. So of course we get to see Tommy and how he's been affected by the entire thing. And so throughout the movie, Michael's killing, right? But we also see the way the people react to what's happening around them, and it's pretty clear that they're all pretty terrified of what's going on, and they're really on edge, and which causes them throughout the movie to sometimes do things that we would consider at the very least, there were lapses in judgment, pretty much. But it's also actions that you tend to see in a lot of horror movies, and this is kind of what I want to get delve deep into when it comes to what this movie does for horror movies in general. So in horror movies, we tend to always see characters do stupid things. Of course, there's the tropes, like of course they're gonna fucking fall because they just have to. It just happens, right? But that's not really an action that they can control. They fell. But when it comes to maybe where are they gonna go? All right, gang, let's split up and search for clues, like that type of shit. Like no, like that. I remember in the Friday the 13th reboot back in, I think it was like 2010. In horror movies, the running joke, oh yeah, the black guy always got to die first, or these motherfuckers never fight. But in Halloween Resurrection, that movie, Busta Rhymes went in on Michael. He was literally fucking fighting him with karate slash kung fu. Like, it was the funniest shit ever. But hey, he fucking did it. Busta was to goat in that movie. Like, he did what everybody needed to do, even if Michael is a towering hunk of evil. And in the Friday the 13th reboot, the black character also was like, man, fuck this. I'm going to go fight this motherfucker. And it's like, kind of like what you would try to do in real life because you don't want to die. Like, come on, man. But still, in a lot of movies, they always do stupid things. One of the worst movies of all time is actually Texas Chainsaw 3D. That's what it was called, right? I think it was the last Texas Chainsaw movie that came out. Like, you think people do dumb shit in horror movies? Oh my god. The writing in this fucking movie is so bad, dude. Like, like I was just watching the Texas Chainsaw movies, at least the prequel to the remake, right? And then I watched the remake. And then I watched the Texas Chainsaw 3D. Oh my god, guys, stay away from this fucking movie. I don't even know how it's at 19% Rotten Tomatoes. This shit was god awful. Like, first half is awesome, but then the second half is like, yo, what the fuck happened? It's like, yo, what's happening? It's not even that Leatherface is chasing this character and she's just doing dumb shit. And it's like it's so bad. Anyway, I don't want to talk about that movie anymore. But yeah, throughout horror history, there's just so many characters that do dumb shit, and everybody always gets mad and everything. But then at some point, I came to realize that maybe they do it because it's an unspoken thing among horror filmmakers and horror writers of why these people are doing dumb things, you know? And I think it was because they're just scared. And sometimes fear can make us do things. But the thing is, none of these movies really ever touch on that until this movie. If there's a movie that you know that does touch on that, where fear is the basis for a lot of the questionable decisions that people do in horror movies, then send me one. I'd like to take a look at it. But generally speaking, I haven't really seen one where that happens until this film. So uh throughout the movie, sometimes characters are doing shit like, oh my god, no, but it's like Michael is the personification of evil, like, literally. It's not the first time this has ever happened where they talk about this. They've done it in the original franchise sequels like 4, 5, and 6. Dr. Loomis in those movies, also in the original, in the sequel to it, you're being told. Of course, it kind of gets mitigated when it comes in the originals because in the original, Laurie and Michael weren't related, and in the second one, they were. John Carpenter supposedly did it like while he was drinking a 6 pack. He just said, "Nah, fuck it, make them siblings." But then it kind of like devalues his evil, because then it's like, oh, like he's not just doing it to do it. There's some other reason, right? It kind of adds to it, but at the same time, it kind of just lessens what he's supposed to be. It makes him more of a. It makes him too human, and I know that's a weird thing to say, but I mean, it's not like you can't explore him as a human being because that's what the original sequels did, like 4, 5, and 6. You know. Oh man, I forgot where I was going with this. But yeah, they do touch upon him, being, evil, just straight up. But in this movie, you get to see clearly, like, just how terrified these people are because these people have had 40 years to let this story sink in their heads and who this person is supposed to be. And it's not just, an urban legend. Like, we know it actually happened. They know that they actually happened. They know that this guy survived and they put him in an insane asylum, pretty much. It's not just some urban legend or whatever. Everyone knows. So now they're coming face to face with this boogeyman. Later, of course, the boogeyman. They call him the boogeyman as well. Pretty much is. And they have to come. Some characters have to come face to face with him for the first time. Some characters have to come face to face with him again, and we get to see how they react to him and what they've learned or how they've changed. We see what's her face again? Because it wasn't just Tommy that came back. It was, what is her name? The little girl. What is her name? No, it wasn't Annie. It was Lindsay. Lindsay, of course, comes back. Did she play her again? Oh wow, look, it was the original actress. I actually didn't know. I had a feeling it was the original actress because she does look a little aged. She's 52 years old, and I mean, for her age, she looks rocking. You know, she's rocking. Beautiful, beautiful woman. So that's really nice that we got to actually have her come back, even though Paul Rudd wasn't able to, you know. Well, technically, none of these actors are, are Tommy in real life grown up, but she was. Spoiler alert: she does survive. Oh, thankfully, thank God. She will be in Halloween. Halloween ends next year. But then we also get to see the nurse from the first movie. What is her face? Nurse. I am really sorry, guys, but I'm just doing it on the go. We're just here. We're just doing it on the go. You are here with me. All right, fuck. Um, apparently, well, I'm looking at this, and apparently Bob Odenkirk makes an appearance, a cameo appearance as a photograph. Oh, Bob makes a cameo. If you don't know who Bob Odenkirk is, he pretty much plays Saul Goodman in Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul. Thank God he pulled through to that heart attack he was doing for the final season, Better Call Saul. But he did a cameo appearance in the photograph as Bob Sims, who was one of Myers' victims from the 1978 film. That's in a direct quote from Wikipedia. So Bob was actually the name of the guy that Michael killed and placed on the wall with his knife. So that was really funny that he actually made a cameo because he was like the only guy that he pretty much killed in Haddonfield in that movie. Besides the people that were shown in the flashback in this film. But yeah, Lindsay comes back. We get to see her, how she reacts, how she faces off against Michael. We get to see how the nurse does. And unfortunately, some new characters and the nurse do die at the hands of Michael. But it was really nice to see, in a way, from a storytelling perspective, how they reacted. And they pulled no punches. They really were on the top of their game. But again, this isn't a man. This is not something that they face with every day. He's something else. And the movie throughout does make a point that it is something. And I really like how the writers, Danny McBride is one of the writers, and I'm going to get to that, like why he plays a very important role as in one of the things that happens in this film. I really like how in the writing it respects the character's competence. A lot of times, like in zombie movies, for example, they don't know what zombies are. It's like you've never faced these things before. Like they're not in your pop culture. I guess the excuse you can make is that they just don't exist in their pop culture. So they've never thought about that. But it's like you never even heard of zombies from a like folktale type of perspective or standpoint, or voodoo type shit or anything like that. Like seriously, like it just feels so unrealistic when characters in zombie movies don't know what the fuck zombies are. It's weird. It's very weird. But the characters do come to a conclusion at some point that he is not a person. He's something more. And I really like that they came to that conclusion on their own based on what they've seen, based on their experiences with them and what other people have said as well. You know? Oh, and by the way, Dr. Loomis does make an appearance in the flashback. It actually wasn't deepfake. It was all prosthetic makeup from what I read. So props to the crew for being able to do that. Really, really outstanding work. He looked pretty much identical. It was I geeked. I geeked. Donald Pleasance, he's awesome. He's awesome in that role. I love his character and his speech in the original film about his experience with Michael is outstanding. It, ingrained into me. Awesome sauce. Awesome sauce. But the characters do come to the conclusion that he's something more, and I really do like that. But despite that, they still try to do what they can to face him. So not only do new characters and old do, fall towards him or to him, it's just really see like the type of things that they have to do in order to survive. And let's get into Tommy real quick. So Tommy did get really affected by what he experienced back then. I mean, he was a child. He wasn't even 10 years old, if I remember correctly. So you can imagine what that type of experience can do to a child, and the trauma that he must have faced. Not only just Lori, but him too, and Lindsay, and all these other people, like Sheriff Brackett, which was pretty awesome to see. Sheriff Brackett was the pretty much the police officer that we saw with Loomis, and the main police officer that we saw in the original film. And it was really nice to see him make a return, even in his old age. Really, just really awesome stuff like that that really elevates the film. So he eventually gets people all around Haddonfield to rally up in order to face off against Michael. The problem is, at the same time, there is a patient, a mental patient that made his way into the city or into the town from the bus in Halloween 2018 that Michael crashed. So he makes people believe, he doesn't make them believe, but people in their fright, in their frenzy, in order to kill Michael, believe that he's Michael, but they never really see him like in person until much later. So these, like, it's affected him so much that he can't be rational because of the fear that Michael has just injected into him as a child from all those years. And not only has it done that to other people, but because of his fear, it starts spreading to others. And that it's not like some supernatural thing. I mean, that shit happens in real life. I mean, you ever heard of like just a buzzkill or just somebody being so negative just it affects your mood? That's pretty much what happens here. He's like scaring people so much. He's not trying to scare them. He's trying to relate to them how serious this is, because it is pretty fucking serious. But his fear just starts pouring into them, and they start to become extremely frightened to the point that they start making decisions or doing anything that wouldn't exactly be right or in the right frame of mind. They're trying to hunt for this man, and they're just in unison. They're just saying, "Evil dies tonight." And at some point, you could say, yeah, that gets old, or it sounds really bad because of the way it's being chanted. But here's the thing, and this is what I also wanted to talk about, and when it comes to how today's modern climate shaped this movie. So before this movie came out, they did mention that it was about mob mentality. And if I remember correctly, that's just pretty much a summary, that it was about mob mentality and what it can do. And in real life, I mean, everyone knows, it's not a fucking secret. If you deny it, you pretty much have your head stuck in the sand. But people on various ends are just saying a lot of shit, and a lot of people that aren't informed. This has always happened, but it's just made more apparent because of the internet and stuff. The internet really lets us see others and lets us just see everything in real time, pretty much. This is a reoccurring theme in this podcast, and it probably will for many more episodes to come. But I digress. We can see people just spouting off sometimes nonsense. Sometimes people are saying right things. But the thing is, a lot of them that are rallying with them, they're just rallying just because. Sometimes it's just because. Some of these people don't even know why they believe they don't know why they believe the things that they believe, or do the things that they're doing, even if they don't agree with them. They're just doing them probably to fit in with the crowd, or it just makes sense to them. I don't know. It just happens. And when it comes to people just attacking others for no fucking reason, it happens. Or if they attack them for just things that doesn't warrant such an attitude. You know what I'm saying? Like the whole cancel culture thing, where like all these people just gang up on somebody, whether right or wrong, whatever it is that they did. They just fucking jump them, and it's for a while. It lasts a long time, you know? And we just want to be right, and we're just thinking that through sheer force or and sheer numbers that that's just what's going to happen. Whatever we want to happen. You know, like just recently with the whole Chappelle controversy. I'm not really going to get into too much of that, but I'm just saying when it comes to the people that are getting mad at him, they're just doing it and they're just joining in and they don't even know what the fuck is going on because a lot of them don't even know what he said, or they're just reiterating what others have said and it may not even be true. They're just rallying just because it may make sense to them, even though it's completely wrong or very uninformed. You know, and it's not like Tommy in Halloween Kills is uninformed or anything, but it really gets people so riled up and in a frenzy that they're just doing shit because they're high off of that emotion. They're like the fear is just overtaking them. They can't, you know, they can't see clearly. And the mental patient that they end up chasing into the hospital in Haddonfield ends up killing himself because of that. Their fear gets so out of control that it starts to infect him. And that was such a sad thing to see in that film. I actually wanted to cry, and I've never wanted to cry in a Halloween film. That's one of the beauties of this film. Like, I cannot believe that a Halloween film actually made me want to cry. Never, ever, ever, ever has that ever happened. Ever. Even in the Rob Zombie movies where they tried to appeal to Michael's humanity or whatever, never fucking happened. Ever. Still, it's very disheartening to see that these people, I mean, don't get me wrong, they're trying to do something good, but they're going about it the wrong way, you know? They couldn't keep a cool head, and it drove a mental patient to his death because he couldn't take it, and he didn't even understand why. You know, they're just after him, and he's so scared, and he just wanted help, and they're all like, and they just killed him. And Tommy was, of course, partly responsible for that because in the aftermath, he just tried to atone for this innocent man's death. I mean, we don't know why he was in the insane asylum, but that doesn't really matter. You know, he didn't deserve to die. It was very sad, very sad. And in the movie, they make a point that that Michael and this whole situation has made them into monsters themselves. And of course the citizens rally up because they just don't feel the cops in the town were doing an adequate enough job to take down Michael, which was pretty valid considering they were failing at each and every turn. And that's part of the social commentary that that the film does also in regards to the current, you know, social political climate. So it's not just trying to, you know, have us look at ourselves and how we're dealing with what we perceive as the enemy. Because, you know, in this film, Michael is, of course, the villain. They perceive him as the villain. Unfortunately, they let their fear and their lack of understanding of what he is overtake them and just do whatever the fuck they're doing, you know? They go crazy. But it was also because the cops were just not doing a good enough job. And to be fair, this motherfucker is pretty strong, and you know, so but there's pretty much commentating on how in real life, the cops and the system in our country isn't doing enough to be able to fix our issues. We have a very wide variety of issues that are complex and they're not going to be fixed overnight. However, we've had a long time to be able to do something about it with the systems that we have in place, and it's not doing anything. And that's why people get upset, because the powers that be and those in charge want to act like these systems that are put in place are okay. Like they're still going to fix the problem, and they're clearly not. And what do you expect people to do when the system has failed? You know? And that's what this movie is trying to do. It's trying to also, it's not just criticizing the people and how they're going about things, but they're criticizing those in power in regards to what they need to do to keep citizens safe, to make sure that they provide for all the citizens' needs relatively within their legal means and bounds. They're not gonna fucking provide everything, but they do have certain duties that they need to uphold and responsibilities as well. So when it fails, I mean, the citizens are going to do what they have to do. And legally speaking, you can't be a vigilante, but it's like, dude, like what do you expect when these guys are not getting the job done? So I don't blame the citizens of Haddonfield in their quest to kill Michael. It's just that they got so paralyzed with fear that they started doing very questionable things. And that's what happens in real life. And that plays a part of the whole cancel culture or mob mentality. Sometimes we don't understand certain things. We don't even take the time to understand them. And we immediately start pointing fingers. And it's like, no, you're the enemy. And it's like, we're so quick to judge people like that, or judge things like that as if there's some sort of evil that we must take down. And it's like, no, you can't do that. Though, of course, in this movie, it is evil, but you can't let it overtake you. You can't let that overpowering evil lay this fear within you. I mean, it's gonna be knee-jerk reaction. I mean, when you're facing something like Michael Myers, I mean, why wouldn't you be scared? But you need to be able to overcome that fear, and that's what this movie also does. Later on, it explains that. So in a way, this was a very long explanation in a way to also, it was also a very long explanation to what other horror films do when it comes to these characters' questionable decisions. So this movie is in a way an answer to that. It kind of lends credence to many horror films that have come in the past when it comes to dealing with, the villains. Like just the fear that they put into the characters, you know? That's why I was calling this a saving grace in a way for horror movies. Because it leans credence to this unspoken rule in the horror community about why these characters do the things that they do, even though we as people watching the movie know that is not what they should be doing. But to be fair, I mean, a lot of us in these situations are not going to be doing the things that we think that the characters should be doing. And in Halloween Kills, that happens to be the case. But the thing is, it doesn't just happen out of nowhere. Like, the movie builds this up. And it's been building Michael up since 1978. And all the sequels that have come before of how wild this man is, how evil this man is, how psychotic he is in the things that he does. And of course, the movie puts it in your face that he's not what you think he is. Everybody is getting mad that he didn't die. And it's like, dude, the movie explains to you why he's not dying. He's not a man. They're literally telling you in your face that it's not just a metaphor. In story, he is something grander He is evil. It does go into the more supernatural aspect of it too, the way the original sequels did. But in the original sequels, Michael pretty much became evil because he wasn't actually always evil. He became evil because of an evil cult's doing, where they performed some sort of ritual, and this being, this supernatural being or demon or whatever you want to call him, goes into Michael or whoever they choose, and he starts to become crazy and lose his mind and start killing people. That's pretty much uh, the rundown on what the original sequels were and the explanation to Michael. Not many people like them. I like those sequels. Even, I do like them. The producer's cut of Halloween 6 finally it came out after so many years of just bootlegs and myth. Came out a few years ago. I do recommend watching that movie if you're gonna go back to the original films. They're all pretty. They're decent films. Pretty creepy in ways. We one time we did, and me and my buddy were watching them, and we were laughing at some things. But to be fair, that happens with everything. I digress. The movie lays it out in front of you why he's not dying. So I don't know why these people are losing their shit about Michael not dying or why the characters didn't kill him. Dude, they can't kill him. The characters are smart enough to figure that out. They really are. Laurie, at the very end of the film, after all the fucking mayhem Michael causes, comes to the conclusion that he cannot die through sheer brute force. It's laid out plain as day in the dialogue. He is, I have to say it too. Again, I wish I didn't have to say it, but damn, do people not understand? Michael Myers is the embodiment of evil. Not just in a figurative and metaphorical sense, literally within the story. That he was born that way. And that's just how it is. Like Dr. Loomis said, he had the blackest eyes, the devil's eyes. It's just more. And I really like how Laurie, Dr. Loomis, in his own lifetime, were able to figure out that, yeah, he's not just a person that just happens to be psychotic or evil. Like, there's something more, darker, more sinister, something out of their understanding, you know? Gets to the more metaphysical stuff. In a way, I guess you can say that maybe he's possessed, but he's not exactly possessed. It's just how he is. But there's something more, far beyond our understanding, that Michael is the embodiment of. And before I get into the more of the end of this video, I do really want to talk about what was his character's name? Frank Hawkins. I really liked his character development and his characterization. Uh, I I always remember him as, as the coach from Remember the Titans. I always remember that. Um, so it's always kind of, it's always kind of weird to see him, in other films. But of course, I really liked his character. It was revealed that he actually is the reason why Michael Myers isn't dead, quote unquote, though more than likely Michael Myers wasn't going to die anyway. But they didn't know that, He was, he had him point blank and he could have shot him, and, oh no, Dr. Loomis was going to kill him. But Frank stopped him, and he was also responsible for his partner's death because Michael had his partner in chokehold. I'm very sorry about that. And he accidentally shot him, in the throat. So he feels responsible for his death, and it was revealed that him and another cop covered it up. So he feels guilty for the death of his partner because of his ineptitude. Though, to be fair, I wouldn't really call it ineptitude. It was a mistake. And comes to realize that the reason why this is happening is because of him. He's the one that stopped Dr. Loomis from killing him because he felt he was trying to do the right thing. He thought he saw was just a boy, doing those things, like he just didn't know what he was doing, or it was used to be somebody's son. So he saw him from a very human perspective. So I really liked that aspect about his character, and I also liked how he kind of put down Lori because in the end the person who was actually obsessed was her. Michael Myers doesn't even remember her. It's like think Thanos in Endgame when Wanda just said, "You took everything from me," and he's like, "I don't even know who you are." That's pretty much Michael Myers in this movie. Like, he was never really trying to find her. He just happened to get there by coincidence because the evil doctor in the 2018 version, Dr. Loomis's successor, took him there. But he was never really trying to find her. He just went back because he wanted to kill motherfuckers. He was just gonna kill, Halloween. Oh, and he actually killed kids in this movie. Bravo to that. Man, I'm gonna be honest. I wanted him to kill that baby in the 2018 version. Now, no, I'm not an evil person, but this is a horror movie. Fucking Michael Myers should be killing anything. This motherfucker ate a dog. He choked the German Shepherd, man. But he didn't kill a baby in the 2018 version? Get the fuck out of here. Mike has some code. Though, to be fair, somebody was like distracting him. So maybe he just didn't get a chance to. Though, let's touch up on this a little later when I get to the more metaphysical part of this film. So, and I should be wrapping it up soon. I didn't mean for it to get to this many minutes, but hey, here we are. I'm almost about to finish this. So, yeah, he took Lori down a few pegs. Of course, it's PTSD and all this trauma that she suffered. I mean, it was pretty scary what happened to her. He took her down a notch. So I really liked that. I really liked Lori's daughter, her character. I actually didn't really find her annoying. She actually seemed to be the calmest out of anybody. She tried to be as rational as she could be, though she did seem to be in high denial because obviously she doesn't understand what this being is. She's trying to see it from a very realistic, logical perspective. It was very hard for her to do that. Though I do like how her character arc culminated at the very end, where she did what she needed to do for her mom, for her daughter, and came to terms with, having to face this boogeyman that her mom talked to her about for her entire life. And of course, I do like. Oh, her name was Judy. Judy. And of course, I do like Allison's character in the movie. Laurie Strode's granddaughter. I did very much enjoyed her character arc where she immediately just stood up for what needed to be done. And if I remember correctly, I think it was her, or no, it wasn't her. I think it was Judy that tried to help the mental patient survive before he ultimately killed himself. So it was really nice to see that. But Allison, I really liked her character going to go fight and stand up to Michael Myers and pretty much accept everything that her grandmother had warned about and took it upon herself to be her successor in a way because Laurie pretty much was out of commission the entire time. Whew. So, yeah. As far as character wise, I really liked that. I really liked Tommy snapping out of it and realizing that how he went about things was just not the right way after that man lost his life. And of course, I really liked Sheriff Braxton. That was his name, right? I said his name earlier. Sheriff Brackett. My fault. Sheriff Brackett. Now I remember how he relayed to everyone how everybody was going nuts and how they were becoming monsters for letting this fear consume them. None of the characters were bad in this film. They were all very well done. I really liked them. So, towards the end of the film, Laurie does come to terms or figures out, of course, that Michael is something transcendental than just a man. He's something else, and that you can't just kill him with brute force. Because Judy does. Oh, wait a minute. There is no way I'm going to do this review without talking about Big John and Little John. Best fucking characters in the movie, bar none. Amazing. I love those characters. They were just, oh my God. Like, I knew what was going to happen to them, but they were just so charismatic, so lovable, so awesome. I'm telling you guys, Little John and Big John for the fucking win. I love those two dudes, man. Really helped the movie out. Really did. I love those characters. Even though they weren't there for a lot, I really enjoyed them. Oh, and also let me not forget, Michael, of course, did kill these kids, which was pretty awesome to see, pretty brutal. And it also played a part to that whole perfectionist, artsy type of aspect of his character, because he killed some new, old, and the kids, old and new characters, and some of the kids, of course, they're new characters. Which, by the way, they had some Halloween 3 references with their masks. Anyway, he put them on this I think it was a carousel or whatever it's called, and the playground in Haddonfield. And pretty gruesome to say the least. But that's part of the aspect that I was talking about of him being artsy and a perfectionist. Like, he just likes to make his killings like a piece of art or something, you know? It's not something new in the realm of horror films or serial killers, but it's still part of it. And it's subtle. So towards the end, when Lil John and Big John actually were living in Michael's house, and of course he killed them, and then he pretty much killed Allison's ex-boyfriend that cheated on her in 2018, killed her ex-boyfriend's dad, who also faced Michael when he was little. So he killed him too. And of course, Judy she leads Michael out to an ambush, and everybody is going at him. I couldn't believe what was happening. The closest thing we ever got to this was Rob Zombie's Halloween 2, where Michael actually did die in Halloween 2. Rob Zombie. That's one thing. I think that is pretty much like everyone's wish fulfillment that Rob Zombie did do. They did actually kill Michael Myers. I actually did yell out yes when I went to go see it, because everybody always wants to see him die because he always keeps coming back. But anyway, he gets ambushed. They beat the fuck out of him. And the entire time, of course, in the background, as we parallel this, Laurie is discussing of what you can't do to Michael and what he is and what needs to be done. So in the end, they beat him up so badly. Judy stabs him with a pitchfork, I think multiple times. People beat him up. They stab him. They do a lot of things. But he lives. And it was very jaw-dropping just to see him go through that, because I don't think we've ever seen him take that amount of damage in such a short amount of time, so quickly, and we still see him come back. We tend to see him get hit with blunt force, but not bullets, not stabs, like just the amount that they did with this film. So, oh man, I should really wrap it up soon. But anyway, of course, Laurie in the end discusses that he is something more. He is evil. You can't take him down with just brute force. You need to do something more. And in the very end, of course, Michael kills everybody, including Judy, which was very crazy to see. And right before her death, when they thought everything was done, she did see a glimpse of young Michael in at the top of the house at the window staring outside. So she goes to the exact same spot that he was in, just like Frank's old partner. And in the end, Michael shows up and he kills her too. End of movie. So my girlfriend actually told me this in the 2018 version, that the reason why Michael didn't kill the baby is because a baby is generally seen as innocent. It's just pure. There is nothing tainting its heart. So I figured that that also plays a role into the, I think I'm using the word metaphysics right. If I'm not, then I will stop saying it. 1 second. I guess I'm using it right. I mean, the definition of metaphysics is the branch of philosophy that studies the first principles of being, identity and change, space and time, causality, necessity and possibility. It includes questions about the nature of consciousness and the relationship between mind and matter. So the word metaphysics comes from two Greek words that together literally mean after or behind or among the study of the natural. It has been suggested that the term might have been coined by the first century CE editor who assembled various small selections of Aristotle's works into the blah 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 blah. Okay. So I guess that's what, because the very end of the film talks about what you can't do to Michael and what's not going to kill him, because clearly they can't kill him. I think that little clue in the 2018 version, if my girlfriend is correct, is going to be a way that they're going to have to contend with him in the final movie, Halloween Ends. So, because only two things can happen at the end of Halloween Ends. And I don't think anybody's going to go fucking crazy the way Laurie and the Rob Zombie reboot sequel went to. That's not even the right words. I don't know what the fuck I just said. In the Rob Zombie sequel of the Halloween reboot, the Laurie character does go crazy even though Michael dies. So I don't think that's going to happen. What I think either or is going to happen is that Michael will die via the characters conquering their fear in a way where, like, they just can't be scared of him. They know what must be done. There is no fear. There is no rationality. There is no emotion. They just know what needs to be done. Because throughout these films, the characters have been they've just been permeated by what Michael has done to them. And they can't do that anymore. They need to be able to tap into this goodness, a complete opposite of evil, in order to be able to take him down. Which is part of, that thing that my girlfriend talked about with babies being pure and stuff. Obviously, they're not going to kill him with fucking babies or drink babies' blood and kill him. Or, that's evil shit right there, man. Or Michael is going to kill everybody, and that's why Halloween ends. He does seem to get physically old. So he could die of old age potentially, but it doesn't seem like age has slowed him down at all. This motherfucker's still fast even when he walks. He has not gotten any less weaker. In fact, Laurie makes a point that the more he kills, the stronger he gets, the more he can survive. That's what's crazy about this whole thing. Like, it feeds his evil. It causes him to get stronger. It causes him to keep on living. So I don't know what they're really gonna do. I really do, but I do trust the filmmakers in their ability to tell a worthwhile ending. Oh, by the way, I forgot to mention. So the whole thing with evil must die, it did sound a bit like parody at some point because of the way it was being portrayed. I think that Danny McBride did have a hand in that because, he's a comedic writer and all that shit. But I think it also plays a role into like them making fun of the mob mentality ordeal that's happening in real life and that has happened before. And they're just satirizing it. So I don't think the actors were acting bad just because they're bad actors. I think they were doing it on purpose in order to drive their point home when it comes to the story that they were trying to tell. Um so yeah, I think that pretty much wraps this discussion up. It did last a little longer than I wanted. It's almost as long as the first episode. Fuck me, man. So, yeah, it was a very good film. Again, it did elevate other horror films when it comes to the actions that the characters make based on what they're facing. I think this film transcended its all of its predecessors based on what it was talking about, the types of things that it spoke about, and what it not only what it did for itself, but for horror movies too. And I just think it was an all around great film. It might be a masterpiece. I don't know. I think I'm using that word a little too quickly or too hastily for this film. I just think it was really great, very well shot, very well acted. The writing was just superb. The pacing was amazing. The use of music. Oh my god! I listened to the 2018 OST the other day. Excuse me. That soundtrack is amazeballs, and the music in this film. Oh my god! Like just great all around, magnificent work. When it just the use of it. Oh my god. I'm telling you, when it comes to horror soundtracks, these last two soundtracks do not disappoint. They are very well made. And I love me a good horror soundtrack. Resident Evil 7, Resident Evil 8, and a bunch of other shit too. Bunch of other shit too. So, yeah, Halloween Kills. Go see it in theaters if you've already seen it. It is on Peacock. That's more than likely what I'm going to do. It is free on there. Peacock, you can get it for free, so there will be ads if I remember correctly. I don't think I have anything more to say about the film. I think I said all I wanted to say. So, yeah, this has been iVenom with the Outer Deus Podcast, episode 3. Want to follow me on my socials, on Facebook, Instagram, wherever. You can follow my Instagram, the_outer_heaven. Got all my updates there for all my work, episode updates, and all that jazz. In the bio, I do have a link tree to the podcast website, all the avenues where you can listen to it to, from Spotify to YouTube. If you are on YouTube, I'm gonna be making more content on there. Yeah, I don't have anything more. I don't have anything else to say. So, yeah. Again, this has been iVenom with the Outer Deus Podcast, episode 3. I'll be uploading more content on YouTube, gameplay wise and gaming wise, and all around with other players as well, my buddies. So yeah, hope to see you guys on the next one. Go watch this fucking movie. I'm telling you, it's fucking good. Peace.